Hey everybody, Jangro here. Welcome back to my Mastering Mechanism guide. Here we are in a Valhelsia 6 world, and I've been working on power generation and progressing farther and farther into mechanism. Our ultimate goal is to get to the end game, get a mecha suit, and for that we need to get into nuclear power. Right behind me, you can see my power plant is growing. I've set up a boiler and a turbine to see how those work. Took kind of a non-standard approach just so we can get a good look at them. Let's go take a look. Please give me a few seconds to thank our sponsor, Apex Hosting. If you're tired of the hassle of self-hosting Minecraft servers, dealing with performance issues, or port forwarding, Apex has you covered. With one-click modpack installations, you can have incredible packs like Valhelsia 6 up and running in under 5 minutes. It's that easy. Apex takes the pain out of server setup so you can jump straight into the fun with your friends, and if things go wrong, their support is available 24/7 to keep the game going. If you do check them out, please use my link, jangro.com/apex. That supports the channel. Thank you for your support. Here we have a steam turbine. If we right click on it, it's an industrial turbine, and we can see that it's doing almost nothing. I've already built these things, obviously, and I don't want to build them here on camera. That's just going to take a long time. I feel like there are lots of places where you can go see where they're built, but I am going to tear it down a little bit and just show you what it's about. And here's the thermoelectric boiler. And here's why nothing's happening is because it's got no heat. And I'll tell you right now that this setup right here is mostly useless as is, but it is interesting to experiment with and just kind of see how these things function and work. Now, before we kind of take this apart a little bit to see how it's made and how we can tweak it and optimize it, let's actually make this boiler do something here. And we have this thermodynamic conductor just connected right in here. Doesn't matter where it connects to, which puts heat in here. And the more steam we create by adding heat, it then puts it through the turbine, through here. Steam goes into this bottom section here, and then it gets turned into water up in the top section, and the water gets pumped back out and into the boiler. So if I crank up the temperature on this resistive heater, so right now we're just using very little energy, and we have not even boiling temperatures. If we turn this up to 1000 FE per tick, now the temperature is going way up. This is heating up slowly. It's just getting up over boiling. And now we're boiling 2 millibuckets per tick as this creeps up above 100. And now we can see that we're starting to produce a teeny tiny bit of electricity. 1 FE, basically. And it's a closed loop. And the steam is getting pushed in here. These turbines aren't even turning. You can't even see it turning. It might be turning like slower than the hour hand on a clock. If we turn this up even higher, I've got 4 gas burning generators now, each producing like, I don't know, 70,000 FE per tick. So we can go up pretty high here. Let's turn this up to 10. Let's turn this up to 100,000 and use up all of our power, basically, that we have available up in the base, just to see what this thing can do. Now we can see that we're producing a lot more. The flow rate is really what matters here, is where the flow rate of the steam coming through here, because it needs to turn these turbines. They're still not even moving, but we are producing a bunch more steam. The boiler is getting hotter. I mean, we're just up to 101.2 at this point, but the power that I'm using here is crazy. This isn't even... We're using 100,000 FE per tick. We're producing 200 FE per tick. And we're spending 100,000 FE per tick to do it. So obviously, this is not a good solution. This is, however, useful as we add fission in here. A fission reactor creates huge amounts of steam, which we can pump straight into the turbine. But it also will produce heated sodium, which we could pump into here, into this coolant tank, and it will, as it cools down and pumps the coolant back out into the fission reactor, it heats this water, creates steam, and we'll get huge quantities of steam from this boiler instead of putting it directly into the turbine from the fission reactor. That's kind of what we're heading toward here. So let's just take a look at how these are constructed, and then in the next episode, we'll get to fission. let's look at how the steam turbine is. This is a pretty good sized industrial turbine. It's 5x5. The maximum size on any multi-block and mechanism is 18 by 18 by 18, I believe. So we could go up to 17 by 17 on the bottom because it needs to be an odd number. And this is 5x5. And we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 high. And so this is big enough for 10 turbine blades. And we can see these things here in the stats. So we have 10 blades, and it tells us what's kind of the limiting factor here. In order to get higher number of blades for the number of coils that we have, we need to go wider, because this is, as soon as we go one more higher on that turbine in there, it's going to clip into the glass and it'll break. So it needs to be, we would need to expand this to a 7x7 on the bottom in order to go higher and bigger on the turbine itself. Let's go up here and take a look from the top down how this is constructed. Now, what's pretty cool about these multi-blocks is you can break them, rebuild them, and they're not going to lose what they have inside them. So let's just tear this apart. So the structure itself are these turbine casings. You have to have turbine casings on all the edges. You can use turbine casing on the sides or structural glass or these vents. And I have got these vents all around here. And if I just wrench these out, we can see here below the vents are these saturating condensers. And they basically turn the steam back into water, and it gets pumped out the top. And if I break these saturating condensers here, we have these pressure dispersers and electromagnetic coils. And below that is a rotational complex. And we can then come down here and take a look inside of our structure here. There's turbine rotors in here. So if we break these, this is just basically how you build this thing. So we've got some valves down here. We need input and output valves, at least 2 of them. And you put these turbine rotors down. And they connect to that rotational complex. And then you can just right click with these blades and they fill it all up as you go. So now we've got 10 blades on here. So rotational complex on top of that, pressure dispersers all around the rotational complex. Put these 2 back here. On top of them come the saturating condensers and the electromagnetic coils. And the more coils you have, the more rotors you can support. And for 10 blades, all we need is 3 coils. If we did 2 coils, then the coils would be the limiting factor, not the blades. Okay, so now in here we put some saturating condensers. This space can be empty or be filled with condensers. And then we have vents coming on the outside of this level here with these saturating condensers. And then we can fill the top with vents and turbine casings. And when I make a proper multi-block structure, we're going to get red particles. There we go. So now we can see here all these different things we just put in here. We've got 8 dispersers and 40 vents. This is a 5-to-1 ratio is perfect. Neither of these is limiting the other. If we put in 1 more disperser, we then see that we need more vents like this. Oh, I don't think I have any room for more dispersers, do I? But if I put in 1 more vent, now we can see we're limited on our numbers of dispersers. To get more dispersers in here, we have to make a bigger turbine. Likewise, again, 3 coils can support more blades, but the size of our structure cannot support more blades. So that's where we're at right here. This gives us a maximum production of almost 2 million FEs, but we need to get a ton more steam flowing through here in order to maximize that. As we saw, we cannot do that with just a boiler running off FEs. So that's the turbine. Let's take a look at the boiler. Likewise, the boiler itself, we can break it down. It is, if we right click on it, look at the stats, we can see here we've got, I don't think I have 13 superheaters in here, but our boil capacity is set based on the size of our boiler here. And if we break this down, we can jump down in here. Here's the structure. Again, this is also a 5x5. It's 10 high, just like that one. And if we jump down inside here, we've got these superheating elements. And I experimented with putting more elements in here to see if I could get more steam flowing through here, but we're really just limited based on the amount of heat that we have coming in here. So here's the structure. Below these elements is just a base of boiler casings, just like turbine casings over there. And we can just fill these in with these superheating elements. Let's go to sleep here. And these pressure dispersers separate the water from the steam. So the bigger each area is, the more of each water and steam your boiler can produce and hold. So let's put these pressure dispersers back down in here. And close the top off with the structural glass. We could also use the boiler casings for this. And there we have particles and a valid structure. You can see here with my 9 superheaters, my boil capacity is this much. Now there are valves coming in and out of these. This is water coming out of the turbine, coming back in here. So again, it's a closed loop. Even though it's producing a teeny tiny bit of steam, it is turning the steam up into water, and that's coming back through. You can just see it ticking through there barely. And you can see the steam flickering up there. There's a tiny bit of steam getting produced. And so this valve right here is where the steam comes out and goes into this valve right here. We can configure what these valves do by right-clicking on them with gases configured. So now it's output coolant, input only, output steam, output coolant. So we want this one to output steam, and this one is input only. This is water coming in. We've got another valve over here where we initially filled it up with water. But you can see here, even though I broke the structure, it kept all the water. I didn't have to fill it up again, which is pretty neat. And there you go. I mean, that's not very exciting because we're not producing any power with this setup right here, but we are setting ourselves up to be able to produce lots of power with a fission reactor, which is dangerous because it can blow up and irradiate the area. That's why I'm doing this down here away from my base. That's going to give us nuclear waste, which sets us up to move into fusion and also create polonium pellets, which are a major component for the end game equipment like a mecha suit. Next time, we'll get going on the fission reactor. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. I appreciate you.